Around 4 a.m. on the 25th of April 1915, the Anzacs rowed from their transports towards shore under the cover of darkness. They landed at a small cove near Ari Burnu.
The men leapt into the water, and the first of them had just reached the beach when fire was opened on them from the trenches on the foothills, which rise immediately from the beach.
Facing steep hills and thick scrub, individuals and small groups of men pressed forward.
We scrambled up the hill for about 200 yards, dumped our packs, and started off at a fair pace from the firing line. Everyone was anxious to get up to them. We lost a few men advancing over an exposed piece of ground. It seemed funny to hear the bullets cutting into the scrub alongside of us as we went along. But no one seemed afraid.
By the evening of the first day, 16,000 Australian men had landed, with many more to come. But the Battle of the Landing cost the Anzacs dearly. Charles Bean later wrote,
"They were men their countries could ill afford to lose. But with their lives, they purchased a tradition beyond all human power to appraise and set, for all time, the standard of conduct for the Australian and New Zealand soldier."
By early May, a stalemate had set in. 2 weeks later, on the 19th of May, the Turks launched a massive attack.
I was looking through the periscope, watching for a chance shot, when I heard a sort of a whining noise. I did not take much notice, and the next thing I remember was a terrific bang. I was covered with sandbags and dirt. All day long, they bombarded us.
After massing 42,000 men, all the men they had in the area, the Turks were met with machine guns and naval gunfire. They suffered around 10,000 casualties, including 3,000 dead. The Anzac troops spent most of the following months, until the end of July, just holding on. But as the summer heat increased, the men's physical condition deteriorated.
The trenches were alive with maggots, and when trying to get a few winks of the night, they would crawl all over you. To eat your meals or to try and get a little peace and quiet was impossible on account of the cursed flies.
Plagues of flies infested the battlefield, spreading dysentery, diarrhea, and enteric fever. Nurses stationed on nearby ships and at hospitals tried their best under difficult conditions to attend to the sick and wounded men. A nurse on the island of Lemnos recalled,
"Convoy arrived, about 400. No equipment whatever. Just laid the men on the ground and gave them a drink. A good many died. It is just too awful. One could never describe the scenes."
On the 6th of August, a series of attacks were launched by the Allies in an attempt to break the stalemate. But the Turkish defences were strong and the troops were in poor condition, so the attacks proved costly failures. A diversionary bayonet charge to take the Turkish trenches at Lone Pine was bloody and wild, and cost over 2,000 Australian casualties. On the 7th of August, on a narrow saddle of ground called the Neck, wave after wave of Australian light horsemen were shot down by the Turks. Over 200 were killed. The New Zealanders briefly held the main objective, Chunuk Bair, but by the 10th of August, the Allied offensive had failed. In the 4 days of attack and counterattack, grenade duels and frenzied fighting, 7 Victoria Crosses were awarded to the Australians. In the following months, deteriorating weather gave a glimpse of the difficulties of sustaining a winter campaign. Freezing conditions, flooded trenches and blizzards found men dying of exposure.
I had 2 pairs of socks on and my feet in bags. Underpants, trousers, singlet, flannel, tunic, overcoat. And even then, I was nearly freezing.
The only solution was complete evacuation. In December, about 90,000 men were evacuated over 11 nights in a secret withdrawal operation from Anzac and Suvla, unnoticed by the Turks. Further British and French evacuations were conducted in January. Over the 8-month campaign, 2,721 New Zealand and 8,709 Australian soldiers were killed. The two nations had forged an Anzac legacy that would never be forgotten.